Welcome everybody. This is Pouring Over Properties with Beau McDougall, Scott Lamborn, Beau Title Guy. This is where Vegas locals spill on homes and spirits. And today's topic is
buyer difficulties in 2023. We know all the knowledge about the minute home prices and interest rates. We're going to go deeper in that and some challenges that buyers are really going to have in 2023 and going into 2024.
Yeah, because it's not all about that home price, because we all have been hearing a lot less about home prices and a lot more about home interest rates and loan interest rates, because guess what? That's really what drives prices. You know, it's all about affordability. That's going to be a word you're going to hear quite often in today's podcast, because affordability has really almost never been as low as it is today. So we're going to get into some details.
Hidden affordability issues that we're going to discuss today that you probably haven't heard about yet, unless you're on the in the deep webs of real estate. And I think there's a lot of people that need to start talking about it a little bit more.
Yeah, and that's what we're here for, to enlighten you on some, maybe things you haven't heard on the internet, because guess what? Not all of it gets around to your algorithm. Trust me on that one. So.
All right. Secondly, most important topic of the day, what are we drinking today?
All right, today it's Big Dogs Brewing. This is actually called the Big Dogs Las Vegas Craft Lager. Love the label. It's actually done by a local artist, which is really cool. Always support local. That's what we're here for and what we're doing on the podcast as well.
And after some quick research, we found out the oldest brewery in Las Vegas, which actually started where?
Oh man, well, Holy Cow Casino is what it's called. So Holy Cow.
Transformed into Big Dogs that we all know and love.
Yes, very much so. So let's pop this open. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Pretty good lager, 5%.
Yeah, it's smooth. Probably have to get 2 of these during the podcast because it's so smooth. It's going to go down pretty quickly. So, might just be me though. We'll see.
Well, yeah, we'll see. All right, so let's start with some difficulties that we think buyers are going to have in 2023 and moving forward. Obviously, let's start with some of the easier, the more headline-grabbing things that even if you're not in real estate, even if you're not in the buyer-seller world, I'm sure you've heard about. So let's start with interest rates.
Interest rates. Oh man. So interest rates today, I think, are hovering around that 7.5 mark. I think it's actually 7.6 for those of you that read articles pretty much every day like I do. But it does fluctuate. There's so many factors that go into something of that sort. But that's the national average. That's what all the numbers are saying, is around 7.6% for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. And the craziest part to that is it's actually a 23-year high on that. So 23 years ago was what year?
Well,
we're in 2023. Let's do the quick math.
2000. I think I started high school then.
I did. Yep, we both started high school. So cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
So 23-year low.
What's still an amazing fact to me when it comes to interest rates is, we're at 7.5%. Yeah, we're at a 23-year high. But historically speaking, we're still like in the median of where interest rates have been.
True.
People bring that fact up, and it is a fact, but, home prices weren't where they were 23 years ago, 30 years ago.
And all these doom and gloom reporters that I follow and all this sort of thing, they're always like, 92% of home mortgages are below 6%. I'm like, well, yeah, because 6% was super normal prior to like 2018, then also you take into account the last year of home buyers. There's been a decent amount of home buyers over the last 12 months. Contrary to what you're seeing on the news, there's actually been a lot of homes sold over the last 12 months.
What I think of funny stories, I remember selling a house probably 3 years ago, and we had this phase before COVID, about a year before COVID actually.
2019.
Where rates are starting to go up a little bit.
The summer of 18, a lot of me and my investors were getting a little concerned with the market because exactly that. Yeah.
And I remember telling my clients, I go, hey, it's going up. I don't know. We didn't have like a COVID. We didn't have any of this inflation to explain why things were going up. And we just saw it going up. So I tell my clients, like, hey, we better lock in now because we don't know where it's going to go. And, for them at that time, it was a shock factor to have 4.5%, 5%. But after the fact, I actually know that a lot of them are able to refi because we then had a dramatic decrease back under 3.
Which will never happen again.
Not in our lifetime.
I don't think so. 3%.
Economic factors.
I'm not loaning you $400,000 for 3%. Sorry, Beau. Love you, man.
It's so true. What's funny is I actually had this conversation yesterday at the fire department with some guys that are looking to buy homes and figure out what they want to do long term.
Yeah.
And I was telling them that, historically speaking, you look around election time, funky things seem to happen. And I think, as many of you know, we do have an election coming up in 2024 where I don't know if affordability might get better because that's not so much control, but I think rates might dip. If you're looking for an opportunity to either refi or buy now and refi, you might see something in 2024. That's a conspiracy theory thing.
It's a guess. It's a guess. That's all we can do. You know, people are waiting for the market to just completely bottom out on us. Well, they're also trying to guess. You know, Nobody has that crystal ball, unfortunately. There are some big people out there betting against the U.S. economy right now. You know, top of mind comes to Warren Buffett. You know, he is stockpiling cash at an alarming rate. He's done this every time pre-recession, they say, but he's been doing it over the last 12 months. So it's not like it's anything new. He's been unloading some of these stocks and making that happen. So is it going to happen now? Is it going to happen 12 months from now? Is it going to float for even an extended period? And to go back to your point of 2018 and 19 rates actually going up and people getting a little bit, I don't know,
spooked,
not spooked, concerned, whatever the perfect word is, that's a 10-year cycle. Real estate typically goes in a 10-year cycle. So I feel like there was also that just connotation in their head. We all still hurt from the 08-09 crash to where it was 10 years in. We've done our education probably more than we did prior to that. So now we're all like, oh man,
it's time.
Something's in the air. Something's in the air. So the minute something tweaked just a little bit, all of a sudden now we're all concerned. We're all a little bit freaking out, you know? And that was what was going on in 2018 into early 19 air. I really do believe that that's true. And then 19 kind of stayed kind of flat, and then we all know what happened in 2020 and beyond. So.
Which I don't think even Warren Buffett could predict.
No, I think he did all right though.
So yeah, I'm sure he did. So let's go to the next buyer difficulty that we're seeing in 2023 and moving forward. It's affordability. You know, obviously rates have a lot to do with that, but still, as you mentioned, people are waiting for that crash to happen. I just don't see it happening. Prices are still going up.
I have made fun of some friends and even family members because back in the 2018 and 2019 times, he was predicting that the market was going down. I don't want to buy now. I don't want to buy with a 4.5 interest rate and the average price of $350,000. I think that's insane. Yeah, to the guy that saw homes sell for $350 sounds insane, but to the homeowner that sees median values around $450,000 now, it's laughable.
7.5%.
At 7.5%, it's laughable for that concept at the moment. So like that's where I go back to timing the market is basically impossible. You know,
it really is.
So many people just react. You know, you can't actually foresee it.
As much as I like to say, this podcast will tell you what to do. We're assessing the data that we've seen. We're using our time and experience to feel what's going on, but there's really no time in the market. I mean, if you look at the economists, you take the top 5 economists over last year about if we're gonna have a recession or not, and all 5 will give you a different answer, and these are supposed to be the top dudes.
Yeah. All different answers, and they've all said it was going to crash, it wasn't as bad, and with the election going up, we usually don't have what Beau says is like a down year going into an election. You really don't want to have that election going on and turmoil and people can't afford certain things. Affordability, that word that we've mentioned a few times, I feel like might get a little better. Of course, we don't know this. We really don't know this. And when it comes to buying homes, as little as affordability is, well, mortgage applications are currently at a 28-year low. 28-year low. So that goes all the way back to the year of 1995.
And I think with that, you're not seeing people saying, oh, the affordability is going up. I got this extra cash to buy a house. It's just they're challenged right now when it comes to affordability and the ability to buy a home.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody's job is increased pay as much as, maybe their mortgage payment is. And yeah, that cash would be nice to cash in, but also I like my mortgage payment being $1,200. I like that a lot more than a $3,000 mortgage payment, because guess what?
Sure.
There's more to actually paying for than just the mortgage payment. Yes, that's the first bill you should probably pay every month if you do own a home, but we're going to piggyback into a whole new topic that's really hit the headlines of news lately, and that's homeowners insurance. That's another thing you have to pay for when you own a home, or you should pay for when you own a home, because you never know when something might break. And we don't always just have $8,000 to go fix my AC unit.
Well,
we really
to
don't.
be honest with you, you don't really have a choice if you have a mortgage on your house because it's part of the escrow
required.
account.
Yep.
So this is a topic that we kind of discussed. We hit the rates, the affordability, supply, all that stuff that you can read any newspaper, you can Google. I mean, these are things that you're hearing all the time. But this insurance thing, I think is something that a lot of people haven't taken into account. If you live in California, Florida, even Louisiana, actually, you might know about this a lot more. But our neighbors, here in Nevada, just to the west, they're having some serious challenges. State Farm and Allstate have pulled out of California. They still will insure the people they're insuring, but they're not writing new policies.
Florida as well.
Yeah.
Florida as well, yeah. Do you hear those names that we just said? Allstate and State Farm, arguably like the two best commercials on TV, are pulling out of certain states. That is a crazy red flag.
So with that happening, now you have limited options, and generally speaking, the smaller the company, the higher the premiums, because they don't have the ability to hedge their bets a little bit.
Yeah.
And so, on the real estate side, really insurance was an afterthought. We'd get towards the closing day, we'd be like, hey, did you call your insurance person to get the homeowner insurance so we can give it to the lender and to the escrow so we can close this deal? Just, it was a checkbox issue. Going forward, when it comes to buyers, especially in these states, and I mean, in Las Vegas, we have different challenges, but our friends up in Reno and Carson that are closer to the Tahoe area where they do have these more natural disasters, which is why they're having problems with these insurance issues. You're going to have to take this in the first week of a contract during your due diligence period and do your insurance shopping for the simple fact of, okay, yeah, insurance is, was $1,200 in the area. We have no insurance companies that are willing to insure this. Now we're at $5,000, $6,000 a year premium. What is that going to do for my monthly expenses? And is it something that I can truly afford on top of my mortgage and my interest rates and all this stuff? This insurance, I think, going forward, especially in these harder hit areas, will be a factor in people purchasing their homes.
Oh, it has to be. I mean, you don't just make up $300 a month, $400. A lot of us are on fixed incomes. We know we're making X amount a month. We know our bills are Y a month, and it leaves me with, this final total of Z of what I can actually play with and what I can invest with and what I can actually live off of at that point. So, and especially so many of these states we mentioned, California, Florida, there's high retirement
retirees.
I mean, they actually are straight fixed incomes. They've been working their whole life knowing with their financial advisors that their monthly income with Social Security and all these factors is going to be X. So the minute that insurance premiums go up 20% year over year, energy locally is up 17% year over year, all these costs go up 17, 20 on all this. Well, guess what? They're stagnant monthly income isn't going anywhere, and that's where we see a wild statistic that I recently just read, and that's over 50% of retirees don't have a dollar in savings. They strictly live month to month on those paychecks, and that is mind-blowing to me. I'm in sales, Beau's in sales, so we're forward in investing in ourselves and knowing that we want to retire one day.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to go get it every minute, so when I hear a staggering number of 50% retirees don't have that saved, it's sad in a lot of ways, and I really think that conversations need to be had more with our 30s and 40-year-olds about, are you investing properly? Do you know how to invest? Do you talk to the right people? Because that's another avenue that really creates generational wealth, and really home ownership is part of that generational wealth, and that's where I think it all ties in together.
And I agree with that. I think, long-term speaking, you hear a lot of these articles, and I think this would be a whole nother segment we can do, is America's turning into a renter nation.
Yeah. Whole communities are being built by these monster hedge funds of like, all right, we're going to build 300 single-family residences. You can buy 0 of them, homeowners, but you can rent for us forever.
Yeah, so it's an apartment complex of single-family homes.
Yes.
But I do think if you're forward-thinking and you have the ability, yes, invest in yourself, invest in your home, invest in another single-family home, because that gives you that opportunity. That gives you the ability to have that income coming in. But this insurance thing, even if you own a rental, is a thing.
It's going to hit you.
It's going to depend on which areas you want to
That
invest in.
$1,000 a month that you were making now just turned into $800 a month. That's a 20% loss, or not loss, but less money coming in because, now it's less on your own mortgage if you're using that money to pay for something else. And all these home buyer stats that we're saying are mortgage applications. There is a decent amount of buyer pools out there of people that currently own homes. You own a home, you have a bunch of equity. Hell, you locked in that interest rate of 2.5%, under 3%, which I want to say there's like a 30 to 35% home ownership rate where people have under 3%. Well, those people probably should never sell those mortgages, and that's why we're seeing the inventory levels be as low as they are right now. But there's a huge factor for those people is that they can rent that house out. That $1,200 mortgage, hey, all these people can't afford to buy a home. Well, they have to rent a home. Right? So now all of a sudden my $1,200 mortgage payment is making me $1,200. So when my mortgage increased by maybe double, whatever that dollar amount may be, it doesn't feel that to me because I'm net gaining money from my rental property if you were lucky enough to lock in a mortgage rate at such a low rate, in those times.
Absolutely. So that's one of the hidden costs I think you're going to hear more and more about going forward, especially if you're in some of those areas. But even as we're in other states, the other topic, and while we're on this insurance kick, what's funny about these states that have these issues is they're not helping their own citizens. So I read an article. So obviously we know Florida, Louisiana, and California. You're like, okay, natural disasters, that's their jam.
Yep.
Right now, as we're recording this, there's a hurricane that just went through Florida. It's in Georgia, spared Louisiana, but that's their thing.
It's common practice
they have
down
hurricanes,
there.
It's a thing.
Yes.
But then you have these states, California in particular, that have legislated against any sort of rate premium increases per a certain amount. So it actually gives the companies no choice but to leave and then leave a vacuum.
Yeah, which living in Nevada, reason why our property values have kind of stayed pretty stagnant is because so many of those people are fed up with that, fed up with the legislation, and they're leaving the state that they're in for other places. The grass sometimes is greener, somewhere else. There might not be as many natural disasters, premiums, tax difficulties in certain states, and with those tax difficulties usually come legislation that not everybody agrees with, and that's why we see 30% of buyers coming from out of state,
And there's a consequence for every legislation, as good and well-meaning as it is. It has what, I'm not facing this guy. What's the guy? Every action has an equal. And,
oh man, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. But
yes.
So even in the legislature, this action has some sort of counter action over here, which when it comes to insurance, that's what it is. All right, so this is a big topic of mine in the real estate world. The equity side isn't going to be as affected by it. As a realtor, as a real estate professional, the way your buyer representatives is compensated, generally speaking, is through the transaction via what's called a co-op commission from the seller side. Historically speaking, the seller side would take a commission of X amount because there's no set amounts, and then they would offer part of that to a cooperating broker on the buyer side, and that allowed for buyers to purchase homes because they do have other upfront fees, as in down payments and lender fees and all this stuff, to kind of offset some of those fees. By no means is a buyer getting representation for free, or they're not paying for it, because by any sort of means, you're still paying for the purchase of the home, and part of that purchase of the home is then going back to your broker. So
the commission is baked into the cost of the home, so therefore you did pay for it.
So if anyone says that I'm representing you for free, one, there's lying, and ethically speaking, they're wrong. But it's important to note that the way historically things have been happening may change for buyers. With a couple class action lawsuits that are being brought up starting in October. I bring this up and I preach it a lot to Scott, and then he said, a lot of people on the outside that aren't as vested in this say it might be premature, but it is something that's going to affect buyers if it goes the way the plaintiffs want it to go.
Definitely.
In the fact that they would assume that the seller should not be required or even given the opportunity to pay those commissions. and put it back on the buyer as a buyer's straight fee, not through the purchase of a home. Now, you might say that's the way it should be, and I agree. I mean, but at the end of the day, that buyer's still paying that fee either way because they're purchasing the home for a purchase price, and part of that purchase price is going back to that broker.
Yep.
So let me give you 2 stats, which is going to really make things interesting for this conversation, and then Scott can take it away with what he what he knows about, and then he can challenge me on some stuff. 1, there's no way currently right now with the way that loans work that you can bake those into a loan. Those commission fees.
Okay.
So you have to come out of pocket for those. Right?
All right. Closing costs?
Closing costs go up. Now, there's some ways maybe, like this is new, we could bake in some asking for closing costs to cover what, we don't know how that's going to bake out. But
exactly. Like once this gets passed, maybe, now.
People get creative.
Now the Fed is going to be like, actually, we should probably let them bake these into the loan. So, we'll see how that all plays out.
The second thing is the VA buyers. It's actually in VA loans that you can't give you can't pay extra fees, basically, is the way it's written. So buyer's agents can't then acquire any fees from the buyer.
No, not directly, according to what I just heard.
So that means now you're going to have VA buyers that are underrepresented because, I love veterans and I work with a lot of veterans, but there's still no chance of someone going to put their license online through E&O insurance, all that stuff for free. It's a service that there's still cost behind it.
Most services come with some sort of fee.
Yeah.
And if you don't know that there's a fee, you're the product. That's just a nice general statement.
So those are just a couple challenges as this moves forward. That could be a surprise fee to buyers in the near future, because who knows how long these lawsuits could take and how long not amendments, not arbitration, where they fight it, they go.
It's got to go through the proper channels to actually get approved, and then once it's approved, appeals court, yes.
So obviously this probably isn't going to be like a December thing, but it's something that as a buyer, if I was concerned and I'm watching the news and things are happening, like I don't want to have to then, because trust me, I will tell you right now, if this happens and those fees go to the buyer, the sellers are not going to reduce their price by a certain amount because they're now no longer paying those fees.
No, not going to happen, unfortunately, because my house worth is higher than my neighbor's.
Yeah.
We all know that.
Yeah, right?
That's just how every homeowner thinks.
Oh, I'm not paying that anymore? Let's take it off the purchase price.
Oh, well, my house is still worth that because that house sold for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, so there's definitely going to be some turmoil and some not arguments, but just, some arguments on exactly how to sell the home and how to leverage your home to get the highest dollar amount, because now it's like we always talked about, hey, if the home isn't selling, let's offer, as a selling agent, as a listing agent,
I'll give more of my commission.
Let's offer some of my commission. I'll make 2.5% instead of 3%. Offer maybe 3.5% to that buyer's agent, and now all of a sudden that buyer's agent that's showing the potential, future homeowner.
It's not ethical, but yes.
Yeah, maybe that's a little bit more exciting. It's a little bit of a better opportunity for that, potential homeowner. I might sell it a little better. We could paint the blue walls gray. We could definitely upgrade the countertops instead of it's dated. You don't want to go through that headache. You never know what kind of conversations are being said literally behind the closed doors on the showing of the home, and that's why those incentives do matter.
We do know what you're saying now because everyone has smart cameras in their home. So if you do have those opinions, keep them to yourself until you're gone.
Exactly. Agents, say to the agent directly, text them. If you're in the house and you want to get to them, just text them real quick. Come on. Me and my wife do it sometimes at dinners, like, oh man, that person, that's just what we do.
I think you did that last time we were at dinner together, thanks.
I think I did, yeah. Sorry.
It's good sushi though.
Yeah. Oh, love sushi, yes. If you guys...
sidebar, if you're ever in Henderson, you find a good sushi place.
Toro Sushi, just a little quick plug for my guy James over there and Jimbo. I doubt you'll hear this, but maybe one day you will. Toro Sushi, right outside of McDonald Highlands, off Valley Verde and... 215, right off, there's Vaughn's right over there. Boom Bang. Oh, it's the Smiths. Mm-hmm. Okay, Smiths. We got Boom Bang. A new Makers and Finders just opened up in the same area. Oh yeah, went there a couple days ago. It's gonna be my new client spot. So if you want, talk real estate and have a coffee, I'll probably be around there. And they do have good Wi-Fi. That's really why I wanted to go there. I need to test the Wi-Fi.
I'm sure.
I can't just have appointments and not have good internet connection because we got to do some things. Working actually pays off in the long run. Weird statistic there.
You know what works when times get tough?
Working?
Working?
Yeah, I just show up more, like when I get less busy, I just try to get busier. It's weird how that all works,
But, so I think...
just like losing weight, you want to lose weight, eat less.
Yeah, that's true.
Or do more.
Working out.
So either right now, industry, so just a statistic, that we've kind of gone over. I know we do our monthly statistic report, market update for you guys, and we're going to do it next week when the data comes in. But in the year 2023, this is actually currently on pace to be the least amount of closed home sales that we have seen since 2009.
Which is crazy. We've increased our population throughout the United States millions since then.
Yeah.
And we're...
Like 09, like the worst time that everybody, I wasn't in the industry back then,
You're talking about the crash?
That's what people call it. Yeah, so that crash time of 08 and 09, which was actually the year after the beginning crash, 09, we're on pace to just beat the 09 closed sales. So all these stats, they might sound a little bit scary, but like, oh my gosh, like why would I sell a home? No, there are still people looking to buy. There are still some transactions. There's just less. Values have actually stabilized and kind of stuck around the same amount because people are moving to Vegas.
Yeah.
People are locked in, have a ton of equity in homes. So
Vegas still has a lot to offer people from out of state. Our value, our average might be 450. Interest rates might be high, but if you're coming from California and you're a high net worth earner and you're paying 11+% in state taxes, a 7.5% interest rate doesn't scare you.
Yeah.
And you get a house for $1 million that out in California costs you $3. We're still looking pretty good. So if you're in the Las Vegas Valley and you have a home, there's someone that wants to buy it.
And the best, well, not the best part, but one thing about the Las Vegas Valley, it's a finite area. It's a valley. We're surrounded by mountains. We can't just all of a sudden be like, all right, we're going to build on the other side of that mountain and we're going to call that Las Vegas. That's actually not how it works. That's why they chose this spot. And there is a finite, construction zone of where we can build.
Yeah.
So all these values are maintaining, value because of all these factors. And, Vegas is awesome. We have entertainment capital, maybe not of the world, but we're definitely up there. We're definitely up there. We have
food capital of the world.
Some of the best restaurants, period, end of story. Be like, sushi in Las Vegas? Yeah. We have every big casino flying in the best fish from the best parts of the world because guess what? We need it here in Vegas.
So some of you know my wife's a flight attendant, and if you fly a Southwest flight in the mornings, and you get your bags from underneath the plane, it'll probably smell like fish because Southwest brings most of the fish in the mornings as their #1 cargo under their planes.
Wow, wild stat there. Yeah, that is pretty cool. All right, love Southwest, love fish.
So we got entertainment, food, sports.
Taxes?
0?
Oh yeah. We don't have that. That's the best part. Yeah, that's why I was bringing it up. What else do we got? Oh, lots of entertainment. Like I'm talking about any one of your concert shows comes to Las Vegas every time. And we just set a world record for one of the coolest projects. I was so excited for it, and that's the MSG Sphere. I'm sure you guys have seen it online, but if you haven't seen it in person, you definitely need to. Once those events start rolling out, I think here in September.
I don't even care about being inside of it. I just like seeing the outside of it.
But the inside of it, I think, is even more exciting to me because I'm a little bit of a special effects nerd, is that these seats aren't just going to move. It's going to give you wind. It's going to give you senses. It's going to give you smells. So now when you're sitting there watching whatever show, whatever the presentation is, the concert, like you're going to feel like you're definitely taken or transported into that other dimension, which is just definitely going to be something to experience.
It's like that flyover thing at Disneyland.
Yeah, I haven't been to Disneyland since 8th grade.
My wife likes it.
But I do have a 2-year-old, so catch me in a couple years.
And I think not as cool as entertainment, but as we're talking about these insurance rates, we don't have the natural disasters.
Oh, those. Yeah, what are those?
We have some like flooding.
I'm born and raised. I don't know what that's like.
It's heat. It's hot.
Guess what? I find shade and also air conditioning. Huge fan.
On point in Vegas. That's a must-have.
I mean, I'm a guy. I'm the bow title guy. I wear a suit every day. I took off my jacket for this video, but I wear a suit every day. But how do you do it? I'm like, because my car is preconditioned with the temperature. I go into a building that's probably preconditioned to a 68 degrees. I might be a little chilly later. I'm not just standing here sweating. Yeah, I'm not standing outside selling anything. No, AC is definitely on point.
So with this whole video, we don't want to scare away buyers. It's a good time to buy. There's just things you need to know before you get into the market. We really wanted to highlight the things that may not be as transparent to the market out there and make you aware that things are changing in some dynamic ways that you need a good, solid real estate professional, good title agency to get things in process before you close. Make sure that the house that you bought, it sounded like a good deal, but there could be some hidden long-term fees that you need to realize.
Long-term fees, and it sounded like a good deal. I mean, it could be fraudulent, 100% fraudulent, So that's the last thing that we want to touch on just real quick, just because it's really ramped up over the years, and that's fraud. With AI taking over, it's real easy to impersonate somebody. There's voice AI apps out there that will impersonate my voice. You download a certain app and you just say, hey, you write a sentence in Scott Lamborn's voice, and I could call Beau and probably pretend to be like me based on those sort of things. So now just...
He'd fool me.
Yeah, probably would.
Especially if he asked me to go to a bar, I'd be like, oh, it's Scott Lamborn.
Yeah, we're going to the bar, quick IPA, yep, we're going to have a good time. So I just really want people, not just buyers, because buyers' money are really the ones that disappear too, because they're selling it to a fraudulent person, but also homeowners and people that own properties free and clear. This is the number one factor for a fraudulent transfer of a property, is that it was free and clear. That means there was no mortgage or deed of trust on the property.
You gotta have a mortgage.
And the reason, yeah, right? So, well, and the rate on it. So that's for the number one reason of our number one red flag of a property coming into escrow or coming into our company, is that if there's no loan on it, we need to make sure that everybody is who they say is, especially on the seller side. Because what makes a mortgage helpful in the case of what I'm talking about is that we have to notify the bank. The bank knows these IDs, they know everybody, so now they have to notify the previous owner, and usually what the bank has on record as a mail address is probably different than what this fraudulent person is pretending to sell to maybe a title company or even just a buyer straight up. If the deal is too good to be true, reach out to a local title company, preferably Equity Title, and we can definitely do that back end research. Make sure that it's not fraudulent, because once sold, those funds are gone. There's not a lot to recoup, Now, if I was the homeowner and my property was fraudulently sold, I would have to go get a real estate attorney and go after it and try to get my funds back, And that's not a route any of us want to go down to. Whenever we talk about,
attorneys are expensive.
They're very expensive. They really are. Nobody wants legal action, courtrooms. I don't even like showing up to jury duty, and I'm not the one being sued. So
I know where this podcast kind of gets sideways sometimes. There's a great show called Jury Duty.
Oh, yes.
Where the guy is the only one that doesn't know that he's not on jury duty. If you haven't seen it, it is worth the 8 episodes. This guy is the nicest person in the entire world, because my wife said it was me. I'd strangle somebody halfway through.
Yeah.
But the case is fake. The jurors are fake. He's sequestered. It's amazing. Jury Duty. Go see it.
Yeah, there's one famous actor on it, James Marsden. James Marsden, there's a famous guy that's, called in for jury duty, and they're all on. And the one guy's like, he's always just talking about how great he is and how I always get singled out. I'm always the manager. He's always, it's just a great show. It's actually very comparable, a real life version of The Office.
Well, it's not,
like a reality version of The Office.
That's kind of what they based it off of.
The Office is scripted, obviously. It seems like it's not, but we all know that it is. But yeah, Jury Duty. Very funny. I think it's on Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah,
Hulu, I think, too.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Well, I think our time up here is done. I say we cheers to that. Thank you for watching podcast number 3, or if you're vlogging number 3, I guess that's what you'd call it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Hit subscribe, follow us for number 4. We got a lot more content coming, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, cheers. We messed that up. It's okay.
Yeah, but we didn't say cheers to that. We just
but
cheers.
If they're still with us at this point, they love us.
We don't know if they're with us. They got rid of us 10 minutes ago. I got rid of me 7 minutes ago, so I don't know what happened.
All right.